So first of all, I do want to welcome you all to our session today. The session is entitled Revenue from Your Keyboard, using technology, primarily Practice Perfect, to help fill your calendar, to help generate some revenue. A couple rules about the seminar, a couple some notes of engagement before we get into things. First of all, my introductions. My name is Steve Presement. I'll be presenting the seminar to you today. Everyone is muted, so I can't hear you. If there's anything you need to say to me, I can't hear you. The reason we mute everybody is so that I don't get interference on the line from everything in the background noise of your clinics. So that's why I can't hear you. However, you'll notice in your GoToMeeting window, there is a chat box at the very bottom. So if you do have any questions, just type them in there. I will be checking on those periodically between sections to answer any questions that come up. If any questions are very specific to a clinic, they may be addressed by support afterwards. So if anything is sort of very, very specific to you, that's a bit more of a long answer, feel free to email me. My email address is on the screen right here as well, and we can get you set up with support afterwards. But short questions I certainly will be addressing during the course of this. I'll check the chat box once in a while. I do apologize if anything is small or fuzzy on the screen. That is a GoToMeeting issue. Hopefully it'll be fine. Hopefully nothing is not visible, anything like that. The seminar, a lot of people ask us after the fact, is this going to be available online for us to take a look at? I do want to show you something. We do have a website. As you know, we all have a website, practiceperfectemr.com. On that website is something called tutorials. Under tutorials, we have a number of white pages. We have a number of documents on how to do things, but we also number of videos, lots of videos. But we do also have at the very bottom here something called webinars. And webinars, let me grab my little drawing tool here. Webinars is where you will find these sorts of things. So if you come back in about, we had one about a year ago. If you come back in about a week, today's recording will be here. You will be able to review the seminar. So again, where is that? It's on our website, practiceperfectemr.com, and there's a section called tutorials as well. So this will be here probably, I would imagine actually not even next week, probably by Wednesday this week, the seminar will be posted. Today, we're going to be tops an hour. The last time we did this last week, it actually ran very close to an hour. The intention is to come in a little bit short of that, but we should be done before the top of the hour. Something else to make note of, if you have any other ideas for future seminars, things you'd like us to do, to run through, don't be shy. Send them along. If you want us to do a session on documentation, a session on reports, a session on extra bells and whistles, new features, send the ideas along. We're happy to do those kind of sessions for everybody in a setting like this, in a group seminar. On that note, things that we do. We're always running into trouble with people knowing what's coming up. What are we doing? What are we working on? What's already been done? We do mail out a newsletter every 3 months. We do email out a newsletter every 3 months. Some people say they don't get them. It could be the front desk gets them, or they get thrown out with junk mail. Who knows? They could go into your trash and your email. Also under tutorials, you can always see what's going on with our newsletters right here at the bottom of the same tutorial site, the Learning Center. You will see our newsletters here as well. There's been, I think, one since then, hasn't been posted yet. We'll get that posted onto the website as well, but keep checking here for the newsletters. There should be the March one should be there as well. So that's something to look for. One other website I do want to mention to you, tying into that, new things that we're doing, new things we're working on that you may or may not know about, just before we get into things here, is a website called www.practiceperfectemr.com/releases, plural, releases. This is a site where you can see everything that has been done. Each one of our releases, what version we're currently on, when it was released. If I click on one of these, for example, 5.18, just released, there is a manifest showing you exactly what was done on each one of these releases. So something that we do encourage you to, to take a look at, to use, to see if you're current. that sort of thing. And these can be looked at either by number, but also by this. I haven't seen my, I don't know if I've seen any releases since January to current, or I want to see only the changes that have been made to the scheduler over the course of time, that sort of thing. So you can filter a number of different ways. So I just want to bring that to your attention. So we're going to get back into our presentation. Let me just jump back over here. Again, our topic today, key websites we talked about, our main website, the Learning Center, the release notes. We're going to talk about today is ways and tricks of filling your calendar. What does filling your calendar mean? Well, if you have a full calendar, you're going to have a busy clinic. If you're going to have a busy clinic, hopefully you're going to be generating lots of revenue. So what it really boils down to is we want to try and find ways of filling your calendar, generating revenue. And the goal here, again, is, you're very good at what you do. You're very good at the clinical piece of things. But we do believe there are ways that you can use technology to automate the generation of revenue. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Let me just go back into here. We know time is tight. Human resource dollars are tight. Everyone's busy just kind of doing the day-to-day, running the show, trying to just get in and get out and get the job that needs to get done. The jobs that should get done typically don't get done. The needs get done, the shoulds don't. Mundane and repetitive tasks are best performed by technology if possible, if not losing the human touch. Staff should be focused on tasks directly related to running and grow the business. Don't use staff, don't use human resources, expensive human resources, for things that computers, technology can do faster and maybe better. Again, we're not looking to replace humans here. We're looking to augment, to amend what people are doing, and hopefully, take the mundane things out of the equation. So basically, revenue in a rehab practice is derived from three main sources. Number one, key, we want to maximize the revenue from your existing patients. So you have patients, we want to make sure, we're not counseling on over-treating here, we're just saying that there is a way of maximizing revenue for patients that you're already seeing. We want to make sure those patients have a great experience in return in the future, and we also, if they need you, and then we do want to find ways of generating new referrals. How do we track that? How do we maybe use technology to help generate new referrals? So we want to maximize what we have from each patient. We want to make sure when they're done, they come back to you, they refer you, and we want to find a way of generating new referrals. And we're going to look at other ways that technology can assist with that as well. And I do want to apologize in advance. Some of this will be repetitive to some of you. Usually what happens is people do glean one or two new things from these seminars. Some of it you already know, but then, people do walk away typically with one or two tricks they did not know about. So hopefully that's what we're going to do here. So maximizing patient revenue, meaning maximizing how much revenue we are generating from each patient. A number of different things fall under that category. Catching patient fall off, patients who have stopped showing up. How do we do that? Well, make sure patients are booked when they leave your clinic. Make sure they're aware of their upcoming appointments, that they're meeting their appointments, they're not missing their appointments. Meeting established treatment plans, crucial. You've recommended a patient attend 3 days per week or 2 days per week for 6 weeks. Everyone gets very shy about that for some reason. I've recommended you come see me 2 days a week for 6 weeks, and you don't. And we're very hesitant to get on the phone and say, hey, you're not coming in as often as we recommended. This was for your benefit. We want to get you better. So again, something that is something we push. Instant waiting list fulfillment, which means if people are on your waiting list, instead of you having to wait and kind of mismanage that waiting list and people fall off the waiting list, the way of instantly being notified that they do have an appointment. Monitoring therapist cancellation patterns we're going to talk about. We want to make sure therapists are not letting people cancel so easily. And then we want to make sure that cancels are rebooked pretty quickly. So we're going to go into each one of those. One thing I do want to point out, wherever you see little eyeballs, that means we're going to take a look at that actual function in Practice Perfect. Where in Practice Perfect can you do these things? Number two, hopefully some of you are aware of Wired Client. It's one of our new products that we're offering, which is an automated client text two-way texting engagement system that also helps with some of this. So we are going to talk about that, a little bit of self-promotion later on as well. Just before I get into the meat of this, I'll give a moment for any questions in the chat window. So again, if you can type down in chat if you have any immediate or urgent questions, I'll give you guys a moment for that, and then we will jump right into this. Okay, no chatting. I'll just wait for a moment to see if anything comes in. Actually, in the meantime, I'll begin to talk. So number one, probably the easiest way to keep your patients coming back, to make sure that they're not wandering away, is catching patient fall off. Patient fall off reporting, which is basically as described, an easy way to show all patients who have not attended since a certain date. I'm going to show you where that is in Practice Perfect. I have to go back to my desktop for a moment because I forgot to launch Practice Perfect here. So bear with me for a moment, and I'll see if I can get back into that without having to shrink too many windows down here. I may have to do that. Bear with me for a moment here. Now, the patient fall-off report, very, very simple report to run. Crucial report. I do hope that all of you are running this already. Where is it? Under Reports, Scheduling, Patient fall-off report. Again, reports, scheduling, patient fall-off report, probably one of the most important reports in the system. Patient follow-up report, we can run it for an individual therapist. I want to see all of my patients who have not been here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'll take April 2nd as an example here. And what this report's going to show you is all of those patients. I have 16 patients. Here's who they are, why they were coming in, who they were seeing, which again you can filter, and some of the history as well. These are 16 patients that we have never discharged in the system. We've never told them don't come back. We've never told them you're done, but yet we haven't seen these guys since the 2nd of April, 2 weeks in this case. The goal here, get in touch with each one of these patients or their parents if they're kids and get them back in the door. This is a report you need to really run once a week. If you wait 2, 3, 4 weeks to run it, they're stale dated. Patients are gone. So this is probably one of the most important reports in Practice Perfect to help with revenue generation. And again, just to recap where that was, reports, scheduling, and patient fall-off reporting. I have to get back into my PowerPoint here now and have to go back into where we were. Very good. Wire Client again, automated texting system. With Wire Client, you can actually automatically have, without you doing anything, having to remember to do it, a text message gets sent out to patients who you haven't seen for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever you want. You set that up. So literally a patient will receive a text message, hey, it's the clinic, it's Jim at the clinic. We haven't seen you for a while. We hope everything is okay. Click here to rebook. And then it takes them to the booking site, which we're going to talk a bit later on as well. And again, that's automated. Nice thing about Wire Client is the patient can then text right back to you, which you will see on your screen at the clinic, and say, yeah, I'm a little bit sore, it didn't work out last time. So you can actually engage in a conversation with them. Number 2, make sure patients always leave your clinic booked. Again, it's a lot harder to get a patient to come back in once they've left the clinic without making an appointment. If you make an appointment while they're still there, chances are they're much more inclined to come back. You can't get them on the phone after they've left. And just to show you all, and again, hopefully you're all aware of this, how do we know if a patient has booked an appointment or not into the future? If the patient is in italic print on your scheduler, and again, I hope most of you are aware of this, that means they have not booked a future appointment with you. If you see a patient in italic print, if you're the front desk person, if you're the clinician, do not let them leave without booking another appointment. I don't have an actual stat for you, but where are we here? But guaranteed, there we are, that it's a lot harder to get patients to come back in, to get them to commit to an appointment if you have to hunt them down after the fact. So very, very key thing as well. Future appointment notification. When a client books future appointments, 2 things we want to give them. First of all, we want to give them a list of all the appointments that are coming up. Let's say I booked 3, 4 appointments with a patient. It'd be nice to give them a list right away of all those appointments that they can have on their email, whatever. But also, we do have the automated reminders, text reminders, phone call reminders, email reminders can be sent directly from Practice Perfect as well. Hopefully you're all aware of that. That can be done either through Reminder Call, our partner for the voice and text reminders, but also through Wire Client. Wire Client also does text reminders as well. So I'm a big fan of text reminders. Texts are opened by people. Voicemail maybe not. Email definitely not, goes into junk. People will get tons of email, but people do read their text messages, pure and simple. So I'm a big fan of the text reminders. Sometimes people balk at the price, even if you're using Reminder Call. Let's say it's 8 or 9 cents per message. Well, let's say you're seeing 100 patients a week. So let's say it's costing you $8 a week for every single patient to receive an appointment reminder. What's that? So it's $8 a week for 100 appointments. How much revenue are you generating from 100 appointments? I don't know, $8,000, something like that. So, eight bucks. It's to me, it's a no-brainer, and it saves your staff time having to call and remind people, and it saves having a phone line tied up. And let's say staff is on the phone and another call comes in from a new referral. How much business are you losing by having your staff actually deal with making reminder calls? The other one I want to show you here is the takeaway list of future appointments. Within Practice Perfect, and a lot of people don't know this, and there's some setup involved here, contact support for the actual setup. Let's say you do book a bunch of appointments with Alan or Belinda. If you right click on that appointment and drop down to email notification for this appointment, even though it says for this appointment, an email will go out to the patient listing all, if you have it set up properly, listing all of their future appointments. So let's say that Alan now has a whole bunch of appointments booked with me into the future. He came in, he booked 10 appointments with me. I can right click, I can drop down to email notification. In the background, right away, an email will get sent. Dear Alan, here's the next 10 appointments you got, whatever it happens to be. In theory, he's going to have these on his phone before he even walks out of the clinic. So that's something you may or may not know about. Contact support for how to set that up properly if there is indeed interest in that. Meeting established treatment plans. One of the reports that we are in the middle of finishing up, it's been in the works a little while, we've been sidetracked with some other things, is something called a compliance report. In Practice Perfect, there is an area very few people know about on the treatment plan tab called Visits Allowed and in this many days. I want this patient to come in 3 days a week. I want this patient to come in 2 days a week, whatever it happens to be. We are working on a report called the compliance report that will show you if people are falling short of your recommendation. And again, this is your recommendation. You're saying, hey, if you're going to get better, I need to see you 2 days a week for this to work. This new report is going to show you if someone is trailing off of that number. They're coming in 1.5 days a week. So again, not asking you to overtreat. It's just meeting with the treatment plan that you have recommended for your patient. So again, that's a report that is underway at present, the meeting established treatment plans. Instant waiting list fulfillment. We do have an automated waiting list function in Practice Perfect. Hopefully you're aware of it. Waiting lists are difficult to monitor, difficult to manage, because a lot of people do want different things done with it. But just to show you the way it works, we have a waiting list function within Practice Perfect, and we can add somebody. I want to add someone new to the waiting list. A patient wants to come in. It's, I don't know, Beth Ann. Beth Ann is looking for a 60-minute appointment. She would prefer a particular therapist. It doesn't really matter. Beth's a little picky. She really would like a Monday morning appointment between 9 and noon. And she's also happy with a Friday morning or Friday afternoon appointment if it's after 4. So you can add people onto the waiting list. The way this works is she shows up on our waiting list. Waiting list, you can move people up and down if you want, to give them more priority. The way this works, if you happen to be in your schedule, let's say someone cancels, moves around an appointment, cancels an appointment. If someone does something in your schedule that accommodates somebody on your waiting list, a box will pop up to let you know that right away. What that means is you don't need to keep checking your waiting list. You put them in here, and then automatically, if a spot comes up for somebody, it will pop right up on the screen and say, hey, you got these 3 people that are looking for this spot, and then you decide what you want to do with that. So again, the faster you get people on your, off your waiting list, the better. Secondly, someone cancels, you want to fill the spot. An empty spot doesn't do you any good. That's not filling your calendar. So this also helps directly to fill your calendar and not leave empty gaps in your schedule. So very, very key thing as well is instant waiting list fulfillment. I always say this, I hope I don't fall off your computer screen. I go into clinics and there's a whole sea of yellow Post-it notes around the screen, and we don't want to see that at any one of our facilities. Quick rebooking of cancellations, visual cues to indicate patients who haven't turned their cancels into rebookings. Well, what do we mean by that? Well, again, within Practice Perfect, If you look at the schedule, if someone has canceled and hasn't rebooked, you're going to see it. So you want to check this periodically. You can get a list of all the cancels that haven't been rebooks. So that that's a good way to check them as well, just to see the cancel should be turned into rebooks. One of the things that we're doing with wired clients, something new, is another automated message. If someone cancels an appointment and doesn't rebook within, let's say, a day or 2 days, they will automatically get a message that says, hey, we noticed you canceled 2 days ago and you haven't yet rebooked. Click here to rebook. And again, completely automated. You don't have to monitor it. You don't have to remember it. Automatically, 2 days after a cancellation, if there is no rebook, or the next day or the same day, that message can go out and they can text you back. So very, very interesting thing. Question did come in. Let me take a look here. Does the frequency feature under the treatment plan function differently than the billing rules? Yes, it does. And again, we'll get into more details with that when we have that report turned on. So the question is that frequency thing. I just showed you 2 days in every 2 visits every 7 days. That's overarching. It doesn't matter what the billing rule is. That is, I want the patient to be here 2 days a week, 2 days a week or 3 days a week. It doesn't have to do with the insurance, of what's been paid or not. It's much more overarching than that. Again, good or bad, there's no right answer there, but that's what was the intention there. Cancellation notification. So this is a little bit outside of Practice Perfect. I'm a little old school with this. I don't like making cancellations easy. This is something where technology maybe shouldn't be used. Don't allow your patients to cancel via text or via email, or even if you have online the ability to cancel, which is something we're going to be working on as well as an option. But I don't like that option. If people can cancel easily, they're going to cancel. If they can cancel without having to speak to somebody, without having to be accountable, they're much more likely to cancel. If they have to speak to somebody, then they're less likely to cancel. I even know some clinics that on their voicemail at night say, do not leave cancellations on here. Please call us directly. So not that you want to make it hard to cancel, but you do want them to be accountable and speak to someone to cancel. Personal opinion, again, completely up to you. Some other ways of maximizing patient revenue. We have ancillary services. Do you sell product? Do you offer other services? We can track that. We can track for each patient how many patients have ventured in and purchased other services. Other than that, how successful are we at that? Rewarding staff for ancillary sales. We do have built into the system a compensation module. Again, that's sort of a big thing to show you. That's something you can talk to support about, but you can keep track of what staff are selling. And let's say you do want to give staff, 5% for whatever they sell, or $5 for a TheraBand, or whatever it happens to be. That can be set up and reported on, so you can absolutely track, both commissions, and incentivize the staff to sell product if that's your business as well. So that's something you can track. Compensation, just to bring up compensation in case you didn't know, and hopefully you all did. Within Practice Perfect, you can absolutely set up under every staff member, every therapist, what's called compensation. You can set up a rate for every service based on percentage or visits or dollars, whatever you wish. And when the time comes to review that list of exactly what was done, it's under reports, compensation reporting. So just to show you that again, and again, call support if this is something you're unaware of and want to set it up. Under housekeeping, contacts, providers, compensation tab, that's where it gets set up. And then under reports, operations, compensation report is where you actually run that report when you want to see that information. So again, even with something like Wired Client, great for blasts. Hey, everybody who came in last week, we're having a big push on orthotics. We just got in a new batch of cold packs, something like that. So without inundating people, without spamming them, it could even be thanks for your visit today, which sounds great. Did you know we're selling, orthotics or massage? So again, this whole texting service is very good also at generating some additional revenue. Okay, so that's about generating revenue from existing clients. A couple ways: making sure they're coming in, making sure they're not falling off, that kind of thing. Making sure patients return, making their experience unforgettable. A couple ways we can do this. We're going to get into tracking funding maximums. Patient comes into you if they're paying out of pocket with their maximum. We want to make sure we're not going over it. Uh, Making note of their special events, recognizing them, communications during treatment, booking their own appointments, home exercise programs, and post-treatment communication. We're going to talk about each one of these. First one is tracking funding maximums. These are billing rules, and you guys should all be familiar with billing rules. Tracking coverage for the patients. When are they out of money? So even if a patient is paying out of pocket themselves, and they're submitting to their own insurance company, if you know their coverage, even if they have a rough idea what their coverage is, you can still enter a billing rule that will count down the patient being the payer, which means that you can tell them when they're running out of money. I'll see if I can give you an example here. Let me try and find a client that I can use here. Maybe we'll try Joe Canada. And I'll give you an example. Let's say Joe is paying out of his own pocket $500. He's got $500 in coverage from his insurance company. The patient is always the top. When you go into billing rules, the first one right off the top is always the patient. And let's say, for example, that we knew that Joe had $500 in coverage, for physical therapy, whatever it happens to be. You can put it under Joe's name. The bills go to Joe, but it will always show you how much coverage he has remaining. So you're basically doing him a favor and tracking his coverage for him. Now, again, it's based on how accurate he is about what he's told you. But again, it's helpful. It's customer service. You're doing the best you can do. And again, where's that located? It's under the billing rules. Let me just go back to Joe Canada here. It's under the billing rules. And what we've done is we have made the patient the actual payer. And then the bills still go to the patient. So again, you may be doing that already, you may not, but it's sort of a handy thing to keep track of for the patient. Special events, front and center automated client notes indicating special events in their lives. How was your kid's hockey game? Did your husband's surgery go well? A couple ways to do this. First of all, why your client does this. Happy birthday, Merry Christmas, whatever the case happens to be on a text message. But within Practice Perfect, and a lot of people don't use these the way that they should, is up top on our blue header section. As you all know, you can put notes up here. We have a big red note. I'll talk about the big red note in a minute if you don't know how to get that up there. But also notice this one. I know it's going to be pretty small on GoToMeeting. Kid had a spelling bee. Ask how it went. Mom mentioned the spelling bee to you. Make a note of it. She comes back in next week. Hey, how is your kid's spelling bee? It speaks volumes. You didn't remember the spelling bee. The computer remembered the kid's spelling bee. And that works well. That does wonders. It sounds cornball, but it works. How do you get something up in the red top of the screen? In case you didn't know, anything that you put in the where are we here? In the allergies section, right here, red flags. Anything you put in there on the demographic tab will show up at the very top of the patient's record in red. So again, I'm a big fan of using these. It's amazing how, little things, they're talking about their pet, their kid graduated, make note of it. Again, how do you make note of it? Hopefully you all know this. You're up in the upper area here, right click, new note, deleted note, up in the upper area, new note, new note, right click, new note, that sort of thing. So we encourage people to make use of those. They do wonders, and it's free. Mid-treatment communication, automated text and email communication during treatment to keep you top of mind. Again, we don't want to inundate people with messages. They get tired of it. It annoys them. Wire Client is good at this again. Birthdays, appointment reminders. I want all of my back patients on their third visit to get a message with a link to some good exercises or some attaboys, or kudos or something like that. So, you can personalize them. Hey, Steve, it was great to see you today. We really hope you're feeling better. And the patient, believe it or not, will think most of the time that you sat down to text this message to them, and they can text you back as well. So again, keeping yourself top of mind, and especially with the two-way texting, with the fact that they can text back to you and engage. Post-treatment communication, surveys. Quite frankly, even if you were to take survey results and toss them in the garbage, not that you should, the fact that you would ask them to rate the clinic, net promoter score, very good thing to do. We can do it through email, do it through wire client. It's great. Recall notices. This is another great way of generating revenue. I want all of my orthotics patients a year after they've been in to receive an automated text message that says, hey, we haven't seen you for a year. Your insurance is renewed. Your feet have changed. Come on back in for a new pair of orthotics. Automatically goes out. You're not even aware of it. And how much are orthotics worth in your clinic? So you really can use technology for this kind of stuff and make it sound very personal. It doesn't have to sound awkward or mechanical. So I'm a big fan of keeping in touch with the patients, without inundating them, that sort of thing. What else can we do to make sure your patients return? Well, self-appointment management. This is something that we are growing on substantially as well. Patients being able to book their own appointments online. Right now, we do have that. Existing patients can, with us, book their appointments online. If you're not aware of that, contact support. They can set you up. There's no cost for it. Existing patients can book their own appointments online. We are in the middle of building on our portal so that new patients can book online if you want them to. Patients can register, fill out their information online. That is all underway at present, looking at an early summer release of that. But again, some clinics hate this, patients being able to book online. There's definitely pros and cons to this. But again, patients can book their appointments online. It's much easier for them to have access to you. So that sort of thing. I put a little note down here. Don't fight it. Even if you're kind of older school, don't fight it. Future customers, I hate to use the term millennials, they're going to be driven by ease of access, the path of least resistance. Who can I book with? I don't really care where I go. I want to find someone close who I can book with right away. So they're going to be basing their decisions not so much on how great your reputation is. I think they're going to be based on how accessible you are. So this is something that we do have to look at there, the accessibility, being able to get in touch with you to book without necessarily having to speak to you to do that. So again, we're enhancing this ability, but again, it's in there right now for existing patients, something we encourage you to get into as well, if it suits you. Here's where I'm going to take a couple minutes and talk about the wire client, a little bit of shameless self-promotion, something brand new. We've been communicating it. What wire client is a fully automated texting campaign system to clients, where you pick a client, you pick a campaign. A campaign might be, I want the guy to get birthday notices, Christmas notices, cancel if you canceled after 2 days and haven't rebooked notices, if you haven't seen you for 2 weeks, and a text message before their next appointment, that sort of thing. So you set up sort of a chain of events that you want to happen for each patient, and you walk away. It's automatic. It links directly with Practice Perfect. There's no double entry at all. And right now we've introduced it. We have about, I'm guessing, 50 or 60 clinics on it. Still a very brand new product. Right now, $49 a month, which includes 3,000 text messages. We haven't had anybody hit even close to 3,000 text messages. And right now we do have a two-month free trial with no obligation. So if there is interest in trying it out, and again, I know I'm promoting it, but it actually has been working very well for the practices using it right now. They're finding an uptick in revenue and fall off. Patients are using it to communicate. So quite frankly, anybody, to be honest, anyone we've shown this to has gone ahead to try it out. Contact Matt at Practice Perfect DMR. Contact me, contact support. Happy to set you up on a trial. Making sure patients return. Again, this has to do with their experience. I'm a big fan of home exercise programs. Actually, before we do that, just questions. I haven't stopped for a while for questions. So anybody have any other questions at the moment before we kind of continue to move along here? Type them down in your chat window on GoToMeeting. I'll wait for another moment here, and then we'll move along. Okay. I'll keep going while we're waiting for some typing. Again, home exercise programs, a lot of you are using home exercise programs. They make you look really good. I don't have any vested interest in home exercise programs. We don't sell them. We integrate with Physiotech, as some of you may know. But I find you go to a clinic, you get a nice printout of your exercises with the sets and the reps and what you should be doing. Great. It makes the clinic look great. They walk out of the clinic with a printout with your logo on it. Maybe they show it to their friends. But again, it's another way of getting your brand out the door. Your brand is leaving the clinic. It's going out the door. So I'm a big fan of that. Certainly makes you look more professional, makes you look cutting edge. Again, you can have video. So I'm a big fan of this. It really makes the clinic look good. something I would recommend you look into. Again, we partner with Physiotech, but you can use anybody. Sources of new business. Okay, so we talked about maximizing revenue from existing patients. We talked about giving patients a good experience where they're hopefully referring to you and returning to you, if they need you. Sources of new business. Well, where does your business come from? Physicians, other healthcare professionals, existing clients should be a great source of new business. If your existing clients aren't sending you their friends, that's not good. Obviously, your marketing initiatives. Well, you need to track results and create buzz through technology. And this is a bit more outside of Practice Perfect. So first of all, we'll talk about the Practice Perfect part of it. And that is, and I'm surprised many clinics aren't doing this properly, tracking return on investment to understand where your advertising dollar is best spent. So there's two things I'm going to show you in Practice Perfect. Number one, there is a field within each patient under the incidents called, let me grab my pen again here, called referral source. I'm surprised how many people do not use this field properly. What this field is supposed to contain is how did the patient hear about my practice? Not who told them to get treatment, who told them, which could be the physician, who told them to come here. This should almost say, how did you hear about the practice? And this is a definable field, Yellow Pages, website, word of mouth, whatever you want it to be. Support can assist you in, if you don't know how to put new things in here, how to set those up. That's the intention of this field. How did you hear about the practice? Once we have that, once you've entered it, two reports I want to show you under marketing. There's something called the Referral Association Report. I want to see all of the patients that I received from the Yellow Pages, since the whatever date you want, that sort of thing, and what in any date range you want. And what that's going to show you is all of the patients that we got from the Yellow Pages. So I mean, I ran it way back to the beginning of time here, but I know that we've generated $123,000 back since 2001 from the Yellow Pages. Obviously, that's kind of a silly date. But again, imagine your website. How much business do we generate from our website this year, this month? I'm spending $3,000 a month on my website. Am I getting anything back from it? So again, the field in Practice Perfect is under the incident, referral source, incident tab. Where do you get that information out? We get it out from under marketing, referral association report, key report. Other report I want to show you since we're in here, referral trend report. This report's important to look at as well. I'm going to go back in time a little bit, see what we got in here. What this report shows you is all of your referral sources down the side, the months along the top, and the number of referrals, not just for the clinic in total. We can see we got a problem here. Things are not going well, but also month over month per referral source. So we can see if we have a particular referral source that's trailing off. I don't have any good examples here, but let's say there was 10 referrals, 10, 9, 8, 5, 2, 1. What's going on? Why are his referrals trailing off? So this is something, again, we do recommend you run periodically because you may not realize you have an issue with a particular physician, and you do. So again, reports, marketing, referral trend reporting. Whenever you're running this report, referral association or referral trend, I want to stress that you use the contact date option. What that means is it's going to be based on the date they were put into the system, because you may not have a referral date or an assessment date, but by default, you always have a contact date. That is, for these reports, always the most reliable date range. Getting back into our PowerPoint here. Creating buzz through technology. This is outside of Practice Perfect. It's still less and less. Still shocks me how many clinics do not have websites. Get a website. It can be a 2-pager with your name and your address and some pictures of your staff. Get a website. You need a website. It can be small. Big debate about, do you put prices on the website or not? I don't think you need to personally, but that's up to you. But having a website, even if it's small, is crucial. It can be classy and small. Yes, there's a cost to it, but it's well worth it. Secondly, I am constantly amazed at how many of our clinics are still using email addresses like this, bobsmith9302 at Hotmail, as opposed to having a proper domain. Get a domain, okay? You can register a domain for, I think, about $10 a year these days. Now, again, it's hard to find one that fits anymore. A lot of the good ones are gone, but we do recommend you get a domain and do email properly. It's all for presence. It's all for the way the clinic looks. If you got an old address like this, they're going to think you're not up to date on others. Maybe you're not up to date on your medical stuff. So I'm a big fan of that as well. Go back up a step here as well. Whoops, sorry. Google, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Yeah, it costs. It all costs. But this is where people are looking now. This is where the generations are looking now. And if you're fighting it, and it costs, and you need to find someone that knows how to do this stuff, you got to do it. Google is crucial. I need a physical therapist. I type in physical therapist in whatever, in New York. And you want to be on that list. You don't have to be top of the list. It's expensive to be top of the list, but you want to be there. LinkedIn, not so crucial. It's more business to business. Facebook, expensive, maybe not as crucial. Google, absolutely. Instagram, more and more. And again, Twitter, not as much. But again, if you have a web guy or a marketing person, look into it. It costs, but it's becoming a necessity the way that Yellow Pages used to be. Something else that, again, we're working on, remote client registration. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Have your clients fill out all their paperwork, release of information online. Why do we do that? Well, number one, again, it's self-service. They're doing it on their time, not on your time. Why are we doing this on your time? You're busy, so have them fill it out online, either at home before they come in or in an iPad in the lobby. We already have this, actually. If you're curious about it, contact us and we'll set you up with Michelle, who will take you through it, because you can already do your forms online with us. But again, if they have a 1 o'clock appointment and they're coming in at 1 and they're filling out their paperwork, they've already used up half their appointment. So let the patients do the work for you. Don't you do the work. Let them do the work. Let them do it off-site or on their own time or early or whatever. Again, the goal is disperse the work, spread the work out, let them do the work, and that way client intake does become 24/7. We're looking at things like kiosks and clinics. They're very expensive, but there's lots of different things that we can do here. But this is something, patients filling out their own forms prior or at the clinic without involving front desk is becoming very good as well. Generating new referrals, still back to that. How do we appease your physicians? Again, this is a bit out of practice perfect. They want no hassles. They want easy access. And again, that ties into what we talked about, patients being able to register online, booking appointments online. You do not want a physician's patient going back to the physician and saying, I tried to go to this clinic you sent me to. I couldn't get them on the phone. I couldn't get an appointment. So again, the more self-serve there is, the less resistance you're going to meet. And if doctors don't hear anything bad, they're going to continue to send their patients. You're monitoring their treatment. You're on their case. It's all that sort of, all that sort of thing. Docs want clear, concise assessment reports. I'm not going to veer into the clinical. I'm not a clinician. However, we do have a report that shows the stat of easy access and success rates. And did clients complete treatment, and what was the length of the treatment? So I'm going to take you through that right now. And again, you may not be aware of this report. Again, a very, very interesting report. Something called where are we here? Under operations, treatment statistics. Again, where am I? Reports, operations, treatment statistic report. Right here. I'm going to run it. I'm going to just leave all the options blank here. What this report shows you, for those of you that haven't seen it, is a whole bunch of information. First of all, each patient. Penny came in for her low back pain. She contacted us on the 14th of September. We got her in on the 16th of September, so it only took 2 days to get her in. And then she's had 46 visits at a cost of $6,000. You can even go from injury to contact, although not many people fill an injury date. So let me jump down here a little bit. There's a lot of bad numbers in here. It's kind of my play database, so it's not going to be terribly representative. But again, we can get a list. The average number of days it takes for our patients to be assessed is 38 days. Well, that's not accurate, but it's a number. So we can see our average amount of time for getting patients through the door, and we can broadcast that. If that's a good number, we can certainly broadcast that. We can also, in this report, see, okay, 185, 50, a full 50% of our patients never made it through the door. 8% only had one visit. 6% had 2 visits. We did pretty good with the 3 to 5 visits. Well, still not great, 27% versus 50, but this is built in already, this treatment statistics report you may not have been aware of. Further down this report, we get into cost and length of treatment based on injury type. We look at, if you're entering injury type, we look at cervical stenosis as an example. We had, 4 patients came in. Our average patient's here for 9 visits at a cost of $1,500. For lumbar spinal stenosis, our average patient's here for 8 visits at a cost of $1,400. Now, again, this is the old garbage in, garbage out. The more information you're putting in, the better you're getting out of it. Where was this report? Once again, operations, treatment statistics report. Look at it. It doesn't, again, I always say to people, it doesn't cost money to run reports. Take a look at these things. There's certainly, you can glean some information. That report, here's a good sample here. That report, you can say, you know what, I'm going out to see one of my referral sources. I'm going out to see Dr. Sloan. I really want some information. And here, the report's going to show me just Dr. Sloan's patients. So all of a sudden, I have information pertaining to Dr. Sloan's patients, who are just as bad as the rest of them. But, again, a great way to, a great source of information. Geographic holes, where is and isn't your business coming from? Where are your patients coming from? Is there a zip code, postal code near your clinic that you're not getting any business from? And again, just to show you, this is in Practice Perfect. On your client listing report, reports, marketing, client listing report, you can turn on what's called zip code analysis, postal code analysis, that sort of thing. And where are we here? And it's postal code for Canada. And I can say I want to go to the 5th digit, 6th digit, 7th digit, 8th digit. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you a list at the very end of the report of what zip codes your patients are coming from. So you can identify if there's a problem, or what postal codes your patients are coming from. Again, that was in our client listing report, and I just turned on the zip code or postal code analysis, and we can go to the X number of digits on that as well. So that's something in there as well that interesting to run once in a while. We're actually looking at mapping that. Again, other ways technologies can help, just very quickly here. You can always use creative compensation models, helps with the productivity or the profitability of the clinic, rewarding admin staff for accounts receivable collections, rewarding clinical staff for low fall-offs, rewarding clinical staff for high productivity, for timely completion of notes, meeting customer service goals. And again, you can track a lot of this out of Practice Perfect. For example, there's a report called Missing Data in Practice Perfect a lot of people don't know about. Where is it? Reports, tasks. Where are we here? Is it under here? It's under operations. I actually don't remember where it is here. Contact documents, test result analysis. I've forgotten where this report is. It's called the Missing Fields Report. Why can I not find it? That's pretty funny. It's called the Missing Fields Report. It's in here somewhere. I thought it was under tasks. That's not there. But there is a report called a Missing Field Report. This is going to drive me a little crazy here that I can. There it is, under marketing, Missing Fields Report. And this will show you. You can decide, I want to make sure we're collecting that referral source. I want to make sure we're getting that information. You can set this up. Support can show you how to set it up. And this report will show you everyone missing information for the fields you've set up. So I can see each patient, nothing in here, but I can see each patient and what information they may be missing. So again, if you do want to track missing information, if you want to, it's a good thing to do as well. It takes us to the end of the kind of the core of this. Really, the primary things to walk away from here are the patient retention, generating more revenue from each patient, making the patient experience better so that they bring back revenue to you. Any questions, by all means, feel free to drop me an email, drop support an email. You can call me, but your best bet is to email me. The phone is always ringing off the hook, and I'm generally busy in sessions, demos, seminars, that sort of thing. So feel free to drop me an email as well. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions? Again, I'm happy to continue and chat. We're still trying to figure out question how to charge interest on 60-day-old accounts. Question came in about how does interest work. Interest is in here. I'm not sure if there's a problem with it, but you can automatically generate interest through the system. Again, something we're not really covering today, but again, contact support. Maria, if you're not getting the answer from support that you like, drop me an email. I'll dig into it. Because support should be, or sorry, interest should be working fine. So again, if you're not getting a good answer from support, let me know, because you can do it automatically. You can automatically have interest charged on old accounts. Any other questions? I am going to stay for probably till top of the hour. If anyone's got any questions, again, feel free to email me. I do want to thank you all again for taking the time to come. I do hope you found something of value, a little bit of information in all of this. And again, if you want to do give us some ideas for future seminars, we are happy to entertain those as well. So thank you all again. And again, I'll be sticking around for a little bit, just looking for chat messages. Okay, thanks everybody. I'm going to be shutting down the meeting. Thank you again for attending.